The first point to be discussed about the stage 1 of fluids are the water distribution networks at homes. Water that arrives to our homes is stored on high towers or tanks at the cities. This is done with the intention that the water arrives to our homes with enough pressure. When on a high building water is still not having enough pressure to reach a certain height, the solution is to put a tank at the roof of the building and carry up the liquid with water pumps. This way, the water can reach the homes by fall. This occurs because of the communicating vessels theory. If you fill one side of the vessel, then the other sides of the vessel will also fill to the same height. In this case, the tank is one part or one side of the vessel and the other sides are the homes and buildings. The water will rise until the same height of the tank with all the water. But if the place where you need the water is higher than the tank, then the water will not flow through the faucet. The importance of this application on a domestic environment is to reduce the physical work that is needed to move water to a high point, because if we do not apply this method, we should have to move the water manually. Now, we are going to talk about the gas distribution networks at homes and also in industries. Natural gas is extracted directly from the subsoil and generally it is extracted from oil deposits. This gas pressure and nature allow it to go naturally to the surface because it is lighter than air. Once it is on the extraction well, it is cleaned from all impurities as water, sand or dust. This gas is compressed on underground supply fields when it does not have a high demand. Then a compression station increases its pressure for distributing it through an underground pipelines network. These high pressure pipelines transport the gas to a distribution system through an underground pipelines network. The regulatory plants or city gates receive the gas and reduces its pressure before it is sent to the distribution system. There, an odorant is placed on the gas so that people can notice about its presence. The distribution system is a network of medium-high pressure pipelines that supply the gas since the city gate. The individual pipelines are the ones that are in charge of connecting the distribution system to the consumers. The importance of this application on industrial or domestic areas is to avoid people of purchasing gas tanks, and also it makes easier the distribution or supplyment of this gas. To finish with the fluids section, I am going to explain how the drainage works. Drainage works because of gravity. All pipes are connected on a downward angle. This means that they begin inside the buildings and go to the municipal network, and from the center of the community to the outsider areas. The vertical registration wells are perforated at a certain distance. This is done to be able to keep maintenance. When we are talking about pluvial drainage, some sewers are placed on the streets and they are also connected to the main pipe. This allows the drain water to be transported through the network. The importance of this application is to avoid floods, talking about the pluvial drainage, and about the domestical drainage to get rid of the feces. This way we can avoid some infections that will occur if we do not have the drainage.
Now it's time to talk about heat sources. A good example of a heat source at home is the stove. For example, when we heat water, the fraction of the water that is on the bottom gets less dense when it gets hot by conduction. This will then go to the top of the water and then will repeat the process until all of it is hot. Another example of heat sources are industrial ovens. They raise their temperatures and then transfer it to other materials to circulate, and the materials absorb the heat. Another source of heat in industries are their heating systems. Heating systems work by convection. Once the air is heated, it is conducted through the rest of the building until the thermostat reaches a maximum and then it turns out. The importance of these heat sources is that they help us cook our food, for comfort, and other industrial processes. What we're going to talk about is environmental refrigeration on buildings and institutions. A system to control the environment variables of air conditioning is through the cooling cycle.
Here a cooler circulates to reduce the environmental temperature below the ambient temperature. For this, it extracts a heat of the space we want to refrigerate and pass it to another body with a lower temperature. This occurs on the refrigeration cycle. This is necessary to control thermal conditions which are necessary to improve life quality. And the last point we are going to talk about is natural phenomena.
Phenomena occur naturally by mixing together different elements. Winds are provoked by variations in temperature and air density. The clouds are formed by the collision of hot and cold air going through the atmosphere, which creates microscopic water drops. The importance of this phenomena is that it has helped man evolve and adapt to these situations.
Of the subject of electricity and magnetism, mainly on how to generate electricity. Electricity is generated from a primary source that is taken to a power plant, and the power plant has a turbine, a generator, and an alternator. Most plants have these main three components. Some of them vary in the turbine. It depends on the source from which the energy is taken. The main sources are geothermal, burning fossil fuels, and hydraulic energy. The most used way of producing energy is burning fossil fuels. The side effect of this is that it generates carbon dioxide, which is released to the atmosphere and generates pollution. There are other kinds of primary sources for energy, as hydraulic energy and solar energy. Hydraulic energy comes from the potential energy of rivers or dams, and their movement generates a turbine to create electricity. Biomass energy is the energy released from organic matter, which is transformed to energy by a chemical reaction. Solar energy is the radiation from the sun captured by photovoltaic cells and transformed to energy. Geothermal energy comes from the inner core of the earth, which generates huge amounts of heat, and this heat is used to boil water, and the boiled water generates steam, which powers a turbine. The nuclear energy comes from the division of the nuclear atoms from heavy elements as uranium, and this division creates energy. Gravitational energy is another source of which comes from gravitational attraction. As in Earth's case, gravitational attraction exists between the Earth and the Moon, and this generates the tides, the movement of the sea, and this also powers some turbines or used to power plants. These were all examples of energy, and it is helpful and useful to be aware of them, so we can search for more efficient ways to generate power without having side effects as pollution.
Next topic we are going to talk about is the generation of magnetic fields on electrical lines. Magnetic fields have their origins on electric currents, and they are directly proportional to the force of the current. The intensity of these fields is measured in amperes per meter. The magnetic field will depend on the intensity of the electric current, the distance of that point with respect to the line, and the form of the conductor. The magnetic field created by a current element causes to be created curved lines of forces around the element. People believe that it is not common to be exposed to magnetic fields. This is an error because we are always exposed to natural magnetic fields, as the one of the earth, and others by man of extremely low frequency as the ones of the electric line. The importance of magnetic fields of extremely low frequency is that they induce circulating currents on the body. The intensity of the currents depends on the intensity of the exterior magnetic field. If it is intense enough, currents could stimulate the nerves and muscles or affect biological processes. These effects are still being investigated. Now we are going to talk about domestic circuits. Domestic circuits are a set of connected elements that allow the energy flow into the building through different boards, switches, and outlets. They are composed of a source of tension that provides to a circuit the necessary voltage to generate electric current, of conductors or cables that transport energy from the source to the charge, of the electric charge that is the device where energy is used, and of protection and sectioning elements that operate in case of overload or short circuit. The number of circuits that a house needs is determined by the total charge of electric energy that people inside the house use, and if you are needing to protect or section the installation of something. For building an electrical installation, some specific knowledge is needed to determine the energy demand and its distribution to all current outlets through the house or apartment. The importance of this application is that in our society it's fundamental to have electricity to develop our daily life normally. It will be very hard to imagine all the activities we do every day without the different devices and appliances that work with electricity. A clear example is the lighting of the houses.
We're going to start with stage number 4 about ways talking about sound sources. There are 3 types of sound sources: point, linear, and plane. The point source emits energy in all directions with spherical wavefront. A linear source emits sound mainly one direction with cylindrical wavefront. A plane source emits energy in only one direction with flat wavefronts. Knowing the different types of sound source, it's important to design devices that help the sound to reach a specific place where you want it to go as megaphones. The next topic to talk about is the sound transmission. Sound is spread because of the vibrational molecule that generates sound waves. These waves are propagated by a medium transferring energy from molecule to molecule inside the source to all directions. Sound is not only spread in air, also in liquid, solid, and other gases. If there is not a means, sound cannot be spread. This knowledge can be used to create different devices such as ultrasound and sonars, which are useful in our lives to detect malformation among men and other things that wouldn't be possible without knowing the way sound is spread. Now, we are going to talk about the speed of sound. The speed of sound, differently than the one of the light, is not a universal constant. It depends on the medium in which it's transmitted. It also changes in the same medium but with a different temperature or density. The speed of sound is directly proportional to the square root of the absolute temperature. The speed of the sound at 0 Celsius degrees is of 300 meters per second. For high temperature is of the 300 meters per second plus 0.6 meters per second times Celsius degree times temperature.
So now we are going to explain the measure of the intensity of sound. The units are watts per second meter. So it is usually measured according to the standard hearing threshold. The most common scales are the decibels, which are calibrated so that 0 decibels is the limit of what we can hear in a range. Well, some factors that determine the intensity of the sound are the surface of the source. The larger the vibrant surface is the stronger intensity. The kinetic energy of the air in contact with the source, the distance to the source, and the nature of the medium. The importance of these applications lies on doing tests related with the hearing capacity of the people to know if it is a good condition or has been deteriorated. Optical instruments are an application of the mirrors and lenses to form bigger and smaller, even closer or more distant images of an object. The instruments are classified according to the image that they produce, as real or virtual. Instruments that form real images are called objectives. They don't need the human eye to observe the image of the object. The most important instruments of this class are the projection instruments as cameras, projectors, opaque projectors, and overhead projectors. The instruments that form virtual images are named objective instruments, and they need the human eye to observe the object. The eye can be substituted by a camera. The most important instruments of this class are the observation instruments as magnifying glass, microscope, or telescope. So now we are going to talk about projectors. Projectors are optical instruments that create images by making a light shine into a small translucent image. It uses lens to perfect the image. To use projectors is can create images of a big size because the projector images will be same size but the focus created by the light source. Camera focus the light to a photographic film, forming the image of what is of the front of the camera. The image is captured by an objective, which is convergent lens. Is an opaque box and it is projected in a focal plane where the field is. The importance of this application is to capture images of the relative through the use of the light and photosensitive. Binoculars combine a series of prints and lenses to alert the images. Lens guide to the light and focus the image of our eyes. This application is important because it allows to see closer things that are allowed us at a distance to which our eyes cannot give us a clear image. It's widely used on military field. Finally, telescopes use simple objective lenses that magnify image and some mirrors that reflect it. The main difference between the telescopes and binoculars is that the first ones usually have a bigger amount of lens and mirrors. This makes them not to be completely effective when transmitting the total amount of light. Nevertheless, they have longer range but smaller vision area than binoculars. The importance of this application is the observation and study of celestial bodies of the universe, which has opened on many discoveries.